The mud is warmer than the air, it sucks at your boots, heavy with the late summer rain and the tramping of 15,000 other men. You are in a throat of rock, the Belasica mountains rising sharp on either side, blotting out the sun. You are tired, decades tired. You are a Bulgarian soldier in the year 1014. For your entire adult life, the war against the Byzantine Empire has been the baseline of your existence. It is a war of agonizing slowness, of mountain ambushes and burned villages. But today feels different. The air in the pass of Kleidion is thick with a static charge, the kind that precedes a lightning strike. You're crammed in behind wooden palisades, shoulder to shoulder with fathers, brothers, sons. The Emperor is here. Not your Tsar Samuel, but their Emperor, Basil II. You hear the shouts from the rear first. Panic is a fluid. It flows faster than orders. The realization hits the back ranks before the front knows what's happening. You have been flanked. The Byzantines didn't just come at the wall. They clawed over the mountains and came up behind you. The trap snaps shut. What follows is not a battle. A battle implies a contest. This is a compression. 15,000 men crushed between an immovable wall and an unstoppable legion. The noise is a physical weight, metal on metal, the wet thud of impact, the animal sound of human terror. You drop your spear, you raise your hands, the killing stops, replaced by the violent efficiency of capture. You are alive. You are a prisoner of Rome. You let yourself feel a desperate, nauseating wave of relief. You are wrong to feel it. The history books will call this the Battle of Kleidion. They will mark it as the decisive victory for the Byzantine Empire. But the battle is irrelevant. The battle is merely the procurement phase of an operation designed to tear the soul out of a nation. The real event is what happens when the fighting stops. Welcome to the Ledger of Shadows. Today we are opening the dossier on one of the most meticulously engineered acts of psychological warfare ever committed. We are stepping into the valley where 15,000 men lost the world, and we are going to watch the man who took it from them. We need to understand the architect of your current misery, the man who ordered you into this pen, stripped of your weapons, waiting under the cold eyes of his guards. He is likely covered in the same dust you are. Basil II, Emperor of the Romans. History will grant him a thunderous title. Bulgaroktonos, the Bulgar-Slayer. It sounds heroic, almost mythical, like a figure fighting dragons. But the man eyeing your captured army is not a myth. He is a pathology forged by 40 years of frustration. Basil has spent his entire reign fighting your people. Your Tsar Samuel is a ghost in the mountains, a master of guerrilla warfare who has humiliated the mighty Roman war machine for decades. Basil doesn't just want to defeat Samuel. He needs to dismantle the very idea of Bulgaria. For 40 years, Basil has learned that killing soldiers doesn't work. A dead soldier is a martyr. His sons grow up to avenge him. The resistance continues. To kill a nation, you cannot just destroy its body. You must break its mind. You need to create a wound that will not heal, a living testament to the futility of resistance. Basil looks at 15,000 healthy, captured men. In any other age, they would be enslaved to rogue galleys or work mines. They would be assets, but Basil doesn't need assets. He needs ammunition. He needs to send a message to Tsar Samuel, one that cannot be ignored, misread, or forgotten. A written treaty can be burned, a messenger can be killed. Basil is going to turn 15,000 human beings into a living letter written in braille and blood. The order is given, it is not shouted in anger, it is spoken quietly to his generals who pass it to the captains, who pass it to the executioners. It filters down the chain of command like a purchase order for grain. Cruelty on this scale is not an explosion of rage. It is a logistics challenge. It requires infrastructure. You are moved into smaller groups. The noise in the valley changes. The chaotic roar of combat is gone, replaced by a terrifying bureaucratic murmur. You are waiting in line. You have spent your life waiting in lines. For food, for pay, for orders. This feels the same until you realize what is happening at the front of the queue. The air begins to smell coppery. Basil's plan requires clinical precision. If you just start hacking at men, they die of shock or blood loss. Dead men can't walk home. The goal here is maximum survival combined with maximum debilitation. The soldiers tasked with the job are not sadists, they are workers hitting a quota. 15,000 prisoners, 30,000 eyes. They need a system. You are dragged forward. 2 men hold you down. It is not a fight, it is restraint. You look up and see the tool. It is simple. Perhaps a heated metal stylus, glowing dull red in portable braziers stoking the edges of the camp. Perhaps a small curved blade designed for scooping. There is no trial, no interrogation. Your crime is your nationality. Your sentence is darkness. The procedure is fast. It has to be. Do the math. Even at 1 minute per man working non-stop, it would take a single executioner over 10 full days to process the entire army. Basil has dozens of teams working simultaneously. It is an assembly line of subtraction. They take the left eye first. The searing agony is blinding in itself. Your body convulses, straining against the men holding you. Before you can process the loss, they take the right. The world is gone. It is replaced instantly by a universe of screaming pain, a void filled only by the sound of your own voice and the smell of cauterized tissue. You are shoved aside, stumbling into the darkness, slipping on ground now slick with blood and vomit. You crash into other bodies writhing in the same agonizing new reality. If you were lucky, you passed out. Most were not lucky. But the engineering of this atrocity has one final devastating, cruel twist, a variable introduced into the algorithm to ensure the delivery of the message. Basil orders that for every 100 men blinded, the 100th man is spared exactly 1 eye. Think about that calculation. It is not mercy. It is a tactical necessity. 15,000 totally blind men will just starve in this valley. They cannot move. They cannot deliver the message. The one-eyed men are the guidance systems. They are the delivery mechanism for Basil's weapon. You are jerked to your feet. You cannot see the hand that grabs you, but you feel the rope being tied around your waist, tethering you to the man in front of you. You are part of a chain of misery. 100 blind men, led by a cyclops, stumbling away from the killing fields of Kleidion. The march begins. Try to inhabit the sensory nightmare of that journey. You're walking through mountains, you know, but you will never see them again. Your world has shrunk to the terrified shuffling of feet, the rattling breath of the man chained to you, the agonizing pulse behind your ruined sockets. Pain is exhausting. It drains the body of energy faster than hard labor. Thirst becomes a torment. Every stumble is a potential catastrophe. If one man falls, the chain jerks 10 others down with him. The cries of frustration and panic ripple down the line constantly. And the sound. 15,000 men, marching not to a drum but to the rhythm of shared agony. It is a low, continuous moan that echoes off the canyon walls, a sound that precedes the column like a dark herald. They march for days. They march back toward Prilep, the fortress where Tsar Samuel is waiting for news of the battle. Samuel knows there was a defeat. Stragglers have likely brought word of the encirclement. He is expecting the worst. A shattered army, heavy casualties, perhaps a few hundred survivors begging for food. He is a hardened warrior king. He can absorb a military defeat. He can rebuild an army next season. He is standing on the ramparts of Prilep, scanning the horizon. He sees the dust cloud first. It's huge. Too huge for a remnant force. Hope must have flared in his chest. Perhaps they broke out. Perhaps the losses were not so severe. Then he hears it, the sound of the march. It doesn't sound like an army, it sounds like the earth itself is grieving. As the column draws nearer, the details resolve. The erratic, stumbling gait, the hands clutching the shoulders of the man ahead, the strange uniform bandages wrapped around thousands of heads. The lead elements of the column reach the gates. The one-eyed guides, exhausted, broken by the burden of leading the damned, collapse. The chains go slack. The blind men stumble into one another, a mass of confusion and pain right below their king's vantage. Point. They look up. 15,000 faces tilt toward the ramparts, toward the sound of the garrison. 30,000 empty, weeping sockets turn toward their Tsar. Basil did not send an army back to Bulgaria. He sent a screaming, living autopsy of a nation's hope. History records what happened next with brutal brevity. Tsar Samuel looked down at the returning legion. He looked into the void they brought back with them. The sheer scale of the cruelty, the calculated malice of it, shattered him. This was a man who had spent a lifetime in war. He had seen cities burn. He had seen fields of dead. But this was new. This was industrial. Samuel collapsed. He suffered what modern medicine might call a massive stroke or a heart attack brought on by acute psychogenic shock. He died 2 days later. Basil had fired an arrow 15,000 men wide, and it struck its target dead center. Without Samuel, the resistance crumbled. Bulgaria didn't just lose a battle, it lost its will to exist. The sight of those returning soldiers stumbling through the villages they once defended was a radioactive contamination of morale. Every time a Bulgarian saw a blind veteran begging for bread, they saw Rome's power. They saw the price of defiance. Within 4 years, Bulgaria was completely absorbed into the Byzantine Empire. It would not exist as an independent state for another 168 years. Basil II returned to Constantinople in triumph. The city threw him a parade that lasted for days. He was the savior of the empire, the restorer of glory. The Senate lavished him with praise. The church blessed his reign. And history, always eager to side with the victor, gave him his name, the Bulgar-Slayer. It's a clean name. It suggests a warrior in single combat, a heroic struggle against a worthy foe. It hides the truth. It scrubs away the copper smell of the processing camps in the Kleidion Pass. It silences the tapping canes of 15,000 mutilated men. This is how erasure works. It doesn't just hide the victims, it glorifies the perpetrator, turning a crime against humanity into an epithet of honor. Basil lived for another decade, dying an old man in his bed, secure in the knowledge that his monstrous calculation had paid off. His empire was secure. His borders were safe. We do not know the names of the blind. They vanished into the poverty and silence of a conquered land, burdened by the very mercy of survival that Basil had inflicted upon them. They became ghosts in their own country, living testaments to a horror that the world was already busy forgetting. But the record exists. If you listen past the triumphant fanfare of imperial history, you can still hear the sound of that march, the shuffling feet of an army that was not allowed to die, sent home to kill their king with the sight of what they had become. The past is not dead. It is not even past. It is just waiting for someone to turn on the light and look it in the eye.